Hey, Bryce, we talk about how a mentorship student got her 20th client, and this client is paying her $2,700 per month. So I wanted to kind of break this down because I know a lot of people, like whether you're on your first, you're trying to get your first client, you maybe have the idea of starting a business, or maybe you have, like 5 to 10 clients, but you're not quite at the income goals that you want to be at. I want to kind of give you the understanding of what it took for this mentorship student to really turn her business and turn her, her overall life around. Um, and I want to kind of do it in about 15, 20 minutes. So if you want some help growing your business, like maybe you've seen some of our videos in the past, you've seen some like the results we've gotten for other students. If you want to be able to either, avoid a lot of the mistakes that cause most people to struggle, or if you want to be able to just move your business forward in the fastest period of time possible, go ahead and click on the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call for myself or a member of my team to see if I can help you inside of our program. So let's jump into this thing. So number one, the student's name is Maggie. So the biggest challenge that Maggie came to me with was number one, her confidence. So she had been trying to get clients for I think it was about like 3 to 4 months before she started. Now she was out of work because she just couldn't, for whatever reason, something happened with her job and she was unable to go and get another one. So she needed to start making money really quickly. And she was basically starting her business from scratch because she had tried to get some clients, but it was like she would say like the price was $300 or $500 a month, and it just wasn't really working out. They'd just say like no, or it's too expensive, or I want to go with someone else, and it would really cause her to not get the clients she wanted in the time frame she did. So the first thing that comes down to for her was going to be confidence. So confidence is the ability to be able to understand the prices that you are asking for are actually reasonable. Now, some people, what happens is like they get very, very um, nervous when they start talking about prices that are like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 per month. And you have to kind of put it in perspective. So let me say, for example, let's say that you're going to go and work with like a solar company, right? For them to go and put those roofs on those, either residential properties or commercial properties. For a residential property, those start at $10,000. Or even go and say they do it on a commercial. Some of those commercial buildings are $100,000. For you asking $3,000 a month to make sure that they are in good standing, they understand how to use their financials, they have the data when they need in order to make good business decisions. If you don't think that's worth at least, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or you don't think that person can pay it, it really makes it hard for you to hold your value and really understand that. Like once she really understood that business owners could afford to pay her those higher ticket prices, it made things a lot easier for her, because then when someone says maybe the price is too expensive, it allowed her to kind of sit in the pocket, understand that, maybe it's a cash flow thing, maybe it's a value thing, and start really dissecting that the person might have had the money and how to navigate the rest of the conversation so that she was able to get the price point she needed to, versus like most times, even like for me, for example, when I was getting started, as soon as someone would say they didn't have the money, I would get very like nervous, I would get very sheepish, and I would basically just shut myself down from being able to actually like sell the project. Especially if it was like a cleanup project and I was gonna like charge them like, we'll say like $7,000. Say, oh, I $7,000 a lot of money. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and I just like freeze up when that would happen, because I didn't have a lot of confidence when I was first getting started. The way that I got a lot of confidence to grow my bookkeeping business was I just started investing in a lot of different like both courses, coaching, mentorship, masterminds. Like the first year, I spent like $35,000 on different like programs. Now these weren't all like related to accounting and bookkeeping, because back when I got started in 2015, there weren't a lot of like courses around how to start like a virtual bookkeeping or virtual accounting business. Everything was like you're maybe a bookkeeper and you're going to go be in that person's office. Basically, how to go get part-time job type courses were back then. So I had to learn a lot of stuff about like confidence. I had to learn a lot of stuff about like getting rid of like negative thoughts about myself and like my skill level. I had to learn that even though I didn't have a million years of experience, I could still go and I could still grow a business, right? And then once you understand that confidence factor, it allows you to be a lot more bold. And then once you're able to be more bold, you can hold that value a lot higher. Because if you can't consciously think that someone's going to pay you $2,700, it's very hard to get a client that's going to pay you $2,700 a month. Because most business owners, they can kind of like feel when you're either nervous, or they can kind of feel when you um, aren't really confident in that price point, and they'll start talking you down. So the work is worth like $2,700 a month, but then they sense, oh, this person's not confident. So they say, well, I can't do $2,700 a month. Can I maybe do What about $1,700 a month? And most people, if they're not confident, they'll actually like say yes to that. And it can be, if that's your first client, $1,700 a month is cool, but that actually handicaps you from being able to go get to like a good full-time income of like 7 grand, 10 grand, or 12 grand per month, especially if you have like limited time, or if you have like children and you can't dedicate, like 50, 60 hours a week, to start, right? So if you underprice it, it limits your ability to go get your revenue goals. So that's number one. Also, what I forgot to do a little bit earlier, if you are watching this with me live, write down in the comments hashtag team live. If you're watching this on the replay, write down hashtag team replay. Also, if I'm like going and I can't see your comment and you ask a question I cannot have the time to answer, I just can't see it, go ahead and write down hashtag connect. I'll be sure to reach out with you afterwards to make sure I can answer your questions. Now, the reason why I ask for you guys to like comment and do these different like codes and stuff is not because I'm not just being crazy, you know what I mean? Number one, I want to make sure people are with me, and I want to make sure that the things I'm saying are very clear. If they're not clear, I like to rephrase it slightly differently so that the most people can actually get an understanding of it. Also, I'm not charging for this information. I am giving the information out for free right now. So one way that you can say like thank you or help me out is by hitting the like button, commenting, or following the codes I'm talking about to get it out to as many people as possible within this group. I mean, inside this group right now, we have about 34,000 people, but Facebook generally doesn't show your content to the full like width of the group. So I want to make sure I get as much engagement as possible so we can show it to as many people in the group as possible. So thanks. So yes, let's jump into this thing again. So that's number one, is confidence. If you understand the importance of confidence and why charging someone $2,700 a month is not that much money, put like a one down inside the chat. Like put the number like one in the chat, so I can know that's clear. Conversation guy said, hey, 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 how are you doing, man? Good to see you. Richard Ruskin said team live. Danielle said team live. So I see Danielle is here. Awesome. See, they're commenting team live. So now I can actually interact. Mr. Conversation Guy, how have you been? I heard that you were finishing that one thing that we kind of talked about off stream. So hopefully that's going really well. And yeah, hyperorganization was and is a factor. Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So another thing to really note and to really like be aware of is that when it comes to confidence, you have to understand you're not selling to an individual. So if you're asking like Joe Schmo, hey, give me 7 grand a month or give me $3,000 a month, that can be a little bit scary because you're almost putting yourself in the perspective that you're going to be paying someone $3,000 a month, but you can't really think about them from that perspective. Business owners have very easy ways to be able to raise money, collect funds, to be able to afford different programs and initiatives that you're asking for. So they can either go and get a loan, they can go sell more products or more services, they could go get let's say they're a nonprofit, they can go get a grant, they can go get an outside donation, they can get an investment from maybe like they have like venture capital funding, right? So there's a lot of different options they can go get to go raise that money. The key thing you need to understand is that if you can convey to the person that $2,700 a month is going to give them $27,000 a month or even $270,000 a month as a result of being able to actually see the accurate financial data, they're going to want to do that. And it's going to be a win-win for them every single time. Because business owners, successful people don't look at the cost, they look at the return. And unsuccessful people are always looking for like a guarantee, right? It's like, well, what's my guarantee that if I put in this thing, it's going to give me this thing out? Successful business owners say, okay, if I'm going in the direction of this, I trust my skill set, my work ethic, my capacity, my capability, my team to be able to go and get this result to go even further and even faster, right? And business owners that are very successful, they have certainty. Versus people that are not, they have, it's very easy for them to kind of like get nervous and not really believe in themselves, right? So it's like the more you kind of think about like you're talking to a business owner, you're talking to a business. You might be talking to an individual on your Zoom call, but you're talking to an organization that has funding, it's established, and they have the ability to go and pay the amount of money that you are asking for if you ask it correctly, if you can link it to what they're trying to get to, and if you can really convey that value. So the next thing that happens in there is sales, okay? So a lot of people are thinking about like where to go and find the leads. It's not really that you have to go and learn where to find the leads. You need to, number one, understand that there are people inside of your local area and online who already have all the clients that you're ever going to need. So what most people do is they try and go and they do like networking events. And I know there's a lot of like programs on the market that kind of teach networking. And networking is great, but it's really networking can be hard if number one, you don't have a lot of time in your day because you're working a full-time job, or number two, if you live in an area where maybe there's not a lot of successful business owners in those networking events. Instead, I like to utilize LinkedIn to be able to go and create the connections and the relationships with the potential partners. Once you understand who the potential partners are, it gives you a lot more ability to scale because you can go and create a massive amount of relationships on LinkedIn in a very short period of time. From there, like if you're in my program, I give you like scripts of exactly what to say to get them on the phone. I also give you a script of once on the phone, like what to say to make sure that they fully respect you, they understand, and they actually want to refer you clients. And I actually give you something afterwards, like a follow-up document that you can send to them to remind them of what is the type of client you're looking for, right? Because you don't just want like every single person that they can refer you, right? There's gonna be some clients that are just too small for kind of like what you're looking for. Like they can't at least pay $500 a month because they're just like maybe like they're a solopreneur, they're just getting started, like with maybe like we'll say they're like a painter and they just got started 3 months ago and they don't even have any revenue. Like that's gonna be kind of hard to charge 2 grand a month for. So you have to make sure your partners actually understand exactly like what is the type of ideal prospect for you to send to you. Now, again, that simplifies marketing a lot, right? And then what you have to become good at is then identifying number one, how to pick a really good partner. Number two, it's how to keep that relationship alive while you're waiting for them to give you the referrals. Number three, you have to understand your time frames and your cycles of when do you meet this referral partner? When do they give you your first lead, their second lead, third lead, and fourth lead? And then on average for all your referral partners, what are those time frames, right? Because as someone who's starting a business, your goal is to create certainty. Okay, the faster you can create certainty, the faster you're going to be able to go reach your goals because then you can just multiply your effort by the number of results that you get. So let's say, for example, I know that if I talk to three potential referral partners, I'm going to get one client that pays me $1,000. So if I want to go and get to $10,000 per month, I have to multiply it to 1,000 by 10. So that means 3 times 10 is 30 partnership meetings I have to do in order to go get to $10,000 per month. Okay. So first things first, you understand like, okay, so who's the partner and then who's the ones that can get it to you. So then the second thing is going to be, one sec, let's see. So someone asked me the question, with new entry level business owners, is it okay to develop a contract for them to pay a bookkeeper based on the income they make? That's a tough question. That's thinking with your head and that's really smart. It depends if you're also doing activities that relate to bringing in income. Because if you tie it based to the income they make, but you're doing only like, transactional bookkeeping, you're not doing any like, if you're doing like analysis to help them make decisions to be able to go and bring in more revenue more directly, then you can actually like tie it to the revenue more precisely versus if it's just kind of like if their business grows versus if their business does not grow, then you don't really get a boost in payment. That can be kind of hard. For example, one of my students named Mike, he had this builder who wanted to be his client, but the guy couldn't really afford to pay him up front. And Mike was like, okay, so I'll work with this guy. And we were thinking that the client was a sales guy, he had like all these contacts, and he had a bunch of people that were interested in his service, but those leads never really panned out for that guy, and the guy ended up not even starting the business. So if Mike had started work with him based on revenue and based on income, Mike would have made $0. But we were able to kind of help him avoid that kind of like challenge by saying, hey, let's not really work with this client. Let's keep doing like follow-up calls with the person until they have enough money to pay at least your minimum balance. And then from there start working with them. So it's like, so if you're, and for the person who asked this question, if you are also doing something like maybe you're doing an element of like lead gen, or maybe you're doing like the office administration and you're just able to actually help impact the revenue of the company, it gives you more control of your ability to go get paid versus it's just you have no way that you can control their income. If their income goes to zero, you don't get paid. Which that's really not in my opinion not the best. If you're just trying to get experience, you just want to like do that, and you're just trying to get your first client, like that's not a bad thing. I just had to when I was starting out, I had to make as much money as possible because I was in between jobs at the time. Cool. So hopefully that answered your question. Great question, by the way. He also said interpersonal skills because we watched different videos. We said in one of my other videos that interpersonal skills is really important. Yeah, so interpersonal skills are gonna be incredibly important, especially if you're trying to like we're talking about confidence. Confidence is like 50% gonna be how you kind of feel about something. The other half of confidence is how you can kind of portray yourself to other people to be able to go and get them to really respect what you're saying. So that's what you talk about inside of lead gen. Okay, so lead gen is all about certainty. It's all about finding little patterns. So one thing I encourage my students to do is always have between 1 to 3 different lead sources that they get KPIs. KPIs just stands for like key performance indicator, where they know if you do 1 hour worth of work, you're going to get X result. And then you can multiply the number of hours that you're trying to work by the number of results you need in order to successfully grow your business and then hit your revenue goals, right? And they have full certainty that they do that over a long enough period of time, they're able to go and reach their goals and they have that substantial like success. Okay. So next thing after we do like marketing, and we have like a lot of marketing videos on our like YouTube channel. So if you're watching this like in our Facebook group, inside the description, there's actually going to be a link that says like more training and just send you to like our YouTube channel. So you can just go and watch those different videos. I think in the future, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have like a structured list of links you can go to and like playlists. So you can like see if you want to do like marketing, if you want to learn about marketing, you watch those videos. If you want to learn about sales, you can watch those videos, et cetera, et cetera. It's just I haven't had a need for that yet. So that could definitely be helpful. If you think that'd be helpful, let me know. You can send me a message. Next thing is going to be sales. Okay, so when it comes to sales and like charge the price you need, number one, you have to be able to go and see inside their books. Now, I like doing what's called a two-call close system. I mean, it's the first call you basically go and establish there's like a need for them to utilize your service and like what is the level of awareness they have about like how big of a need this is for their business. The less they kind of like think they need it, the more work you have to do on your consultation call in order to get them to understand why they need your service first and why you're the person to go with them, and then why your price is a little bit higher than average. Okay, so I like doing them from a two calls. So number one is just like establish like where are they, why they need the help, what's the time frame, what they tried to do in the past. Then I try and get access to their books. Now there's a couple different ways to get access to the books. Inside of my program, I give you like a word for word script how to get people to want to give you access and how to actually kind of like gamify it. What most people do wrong is they kind of say like, yeah, give me access to your books, but they don't really explain why they need access, and the way they like that they try and explain it is very intimidating to the business owner. So, for example, there was this one lady, and I can't remember how I ran. I don't know if I ran to her just out and about, or if she said something on LinkedIn. And the way she was like getting, or she was asking people like to give her books, was basically like, "I need you to show me your books. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna. It was like I'm gonna run some kind of audit or something. It was. It just sounded extremely scary and like super judgmental. It didn't. It didn't really like sound like she was actually adding any value, or there was no benefit to the business owner to do that. It was just let me see your books. And it's like she was having trouble getting people to actually want to do that, right? So if you're going to ask people to give you access to their books, you have to do it in a way that like kind of makes it seem like it's part of your process. Number one. Number two, you have to make sure that it sounds like they're going to get some benefit from doing that. And then number three, I kind of tie it to the actual second call. So I'm basically saying like around the lines of I'm going to be utilizing the findings of what I find to the next time we speak. I'm going to be able to like tell you like what are the different things I'm seeing. I can give you a price quote. I can also tell you like what is the different process we're going to use in order to go move you forward and make sure that you understand exactly like what your finances are telling you. And it makes it so much easier. And you're not going to have 100% of people want to share their books with you. That's kind of a litmus test I see and I use to make sure like is the person serious. But for the people that do, it's generally very easy to like actually get them to want to work with you. Now that's going to be number one. After that, it's going to be just really understanding like a proper execution of a script. So every one of you watching should like have a script. Okay. If I had had a script when I first got started, it would have been way better, right? I just didn't know what I didn't know. Most people don't, right? Most people just they want to get on the call and they don't want to be like salesy. And sales is kind of like a weird kind of like term that some people say, and it's not really a real thing. But in an attempt to not come across like a salesperson, they end up just not selling anything. And you, it depends on your goal. I'd rather sound like a salesperson and get some sales, even though it's not like the best, rather than not sounding salesy, not having a plan, just kind of like just being there that no one buys from you, right? So you have to make some choices. For me, I tend to choose a script that's more about like a person-to-person kind of like relationship and understanding how to build like a friendship. It just so happens that the service is like the thing that's going to connect us once the person's paid me money. right? But it's really the client actually ends up liking me, and we actually form a like a relationship. I know a lot about this person by the end of the second consultation call. So if you can do a call like that, it does make it a lot easier. A side tangent that I was going to leave alone, but I'm not. So the word salesy is not going to be. Someone said, "How do you onboard a client that has never done bookkeeping?" So, are you asking how do you actually do a cleanup? It says DIN. Are you asking how to actually do a cleanup, or are you talking about like what is the process of doing it? Are you talking about should you accept payment on the phone, then send the engagement letter, then schedule an onboarding call, or are you talking about like, yeah? Can you please write down a little bit more like what your full question is, so I can give you a little bit of answers? If it is around like how do you actually do the onboarding process, my partner Sharon, she actually made a full video that breaks down how to do a cleanup. Because one of the new things we added into our program, like I think it was about like 6 months ago, was more accounting, QuickBooks, and bookkeeping tips for people who are a little bit newer to the industry or just have some trouble like understanding things. So if that's kind of your question, I can actually link you to that video afterwards. And if someone else is watching, if you want for me to send you the cleanup video, write cleanup down inside the comment section, and I'll be sure to send it to you. Cleanup to the video that shows how to do cleanups. Cool. So when it comes to the actual consultation call itself, again, we're using more of like a presentation. Won't letting them know they need to pay for the whole cleanup kind of hinder them away? It depends how you really present it, Din. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm assuming that's going to be DIN, like din, like dinner. Won't letting them know they need to pay for the whole cleanup kind of hinder them away? So it depends. I mean, it depends on number one, the relationship you have. So the reason why I do a two-call close, because the first call you're establishing that relationship, and it causes them not to like ghost you. The second call is gonna be more about like driving in the pain. So if they again, if they view that paying $1,000 is going to be give them a result that's going to get them $10,000 in value or $100,000 in value, they'll pay it every single time. It's really going to be about a communication of value. Okay. Most people that are like that struggle in business, they look at like what's the price. The people that are going to be successful, they look at what is it giving. Okay, so for example, let me give you an example. So, would you pay $1,000 for this hard drive? Someone who's unsuccessful is going to say $1,000 is a lot of money. Someone who's successful is what's inside of this and how much can I make off of it. So for this flash drive in particular, it actually contains all of my SOPs, all of my past consultation calls, all of my past coaching calls. This thing is probably worth like 300 to in some cases $1 million, depending on like the time frame with which you use this information, right? So $1,000 to get $1 million worth of value out, I would do that deal. I don't know about you, but you know, it could be different. So yeah, so that's the main thing when you come about value. So yes, so there are going to be people that will be hindered and turned away. Your job is not to really try and sell every single person. Your job is to make sure that if you were to get on the client, you do not underprice your services. Okay, and you're making sure that if like maybe it's a cash flow problem. Let's say that you're asking like the business owner for, we'll say $5,000 for a cleanup, but they say, oh, I can't do that right now, right? The first thing you have to say is like, when you say you can't do it right now, I guess like, what do you mean? Right? And then they're gonna tell you, well, they're gonna tell you like five different responses. Be like, either I don't have the cash flow to do it, I need to break up in the payments, I haven't gotten paid in 3 months because our supplier, whatever, was not working. We just shut down 3 locations, so I'm trying to like manage the cash flow I already have. Or number five, it's gonna be like, I don't really value your service, and I'm not paying $5,000 for it. Okay. I always like to then break down the objections into is it cannot or will not. Okay. Cannot means they can't, and then I'm going to be like doing some more like logistical types of closing. Will not means that they have the money, they just don't want to pay it. Okay. So let's say that if it's a will not and they have the money, so you have to confirm, do they actually have the full amount of money to pay this? If they do not, then you need to go and do some like value objection handling. You need to be able to, in some cases, you might have to do like fear handling objections. So you have to kind of loop around to understand like, okay, so let's say that they have the $5,000. Okay, so you have the $5,000 and you said like it's a little bit uncomfortable for you to pay this right now, or you just don't want to pay this right now. I guess is not wanting to pay this right now, is that the only thing that's kind of like stopping you from moving forward with this? And then you say yes, okay, cool. So just so I'm clear on my notes for like maybe the next time we speak, or if I have to give you information afterwards, I guess when you say that you don't want to pay $5,000, I guess like what's coming up for you? Then they're going to give you a litmus of like a bunch of other like things that they can say. From there, your job is to unpack each one of those things in a very slow and systematic way to make sure that there's any clarifying questions that have not been answered. You're able to go and get that person to like understand why they should be moving forward. From there, you close. If it's more of like a cannot, like they just can't, like cash flow wise, if it's like cash flow and you know that they're going to be getting sales, they're going to be getting more inventory or more whatever, right? Then you can split up the cleanup inside of like almost like a payment plan. So you say, okay, so I'll do 25% of the work for 25% of the money. I'll do another 25, another 25, another 25. And you make sure you get paid for each portion before you start that amount of work, right? Because one thing you don't want to have happen is you get started on the work and then they don't pay you, and then you've done 50% of the work, and now they just don't pay you, right? And that's really not a great feeling to kind of have. So you always got to make sure you do that. Now, I feel like we were running a little bit over schedule. I do have to get going in about 3 minutes because I'm late from next appointment. But if you want some help growing a business, like maybe even trying to, really reach your goals, but it's just either not coming as fast as you want, or you just know and you can just kind of like see like, hey, I'm not really on the right track to being able to reach my goals in the time frame I want. Go ahead and click on the link inside the description either above or below the video. Book a call with myself or a member of my team to see if we can help you inside our mentorship program. Now, inside of our program, like we can't help everyone. Like I'm not arrogant enough to say I can help every single person on the platform. Number one, I don't have like capacity to be able to support that many people, right? I can't support 1 million people per month because our mentorship program is very like we know every single person's time. We know what's going on with your life. We understand exactly like where you're at, and we have like customized support for you. So for that reason, we only accept about like 10 to maximum 12 people per month inside of our programs. And also, we want to make sure that we can actually support you inside the thing. So I want to make sure if you do pay us some money to get started with the program, that we can give you as fast and as immediate return as we possibly can to make sure that you're fully comfortable and thoroughly glad that you invested with us. So if that's you, if you want to see if you qualify for help, and if you want to see it'll be a good fit for us to work together, go ahead and click on the link inside the description. Book a call with myself or a member of my team, see if we can help you out. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.